Okay, today I'm going to walk you through the steps of how to factor a trinomial. In this video, I will show you how to factor trinomials when a is equal to 1. In the next video, I'll show you how to factor trinomials when a is equal to anything greater than 1. That's for next video. In this video, we are focusing on when a is equal to 1. Okay, as you can see here, this is your simple equation, your base equation for trinomial. You have your first term, your second term, and your third term. In your first term, you have your your coefficient a, and in your second term, you have your coefficient b. In your third term, you have your constant c. Now, to factor trinomials, you have to go over the rules of how to use your signs. So, these guys right here. Okay, so when you're factoring a trinomial, you'll have two answers, and those two answers are written in two brackets. Now, since this is an example, we don't actually have the answers, but let's just say our values for our answers were 3 and 2. So x equals 3, x equals 2. By the way, this variable determines on what variable you're using in your equation. So in this equation, we're using x. Okay, so to determine the value that goes in the first bracket, you have to look at the value that is the largest. So in this case, 3 is greater than 2. So 3 is going to go in the first bracket, and 2 will go in the second bracket. And then for what goes in front of these numbers is going to be the variable that you're using. So, aka the variable you're looking for, like the variable you're solving for. So, x and x. Now, in between them is going to be a sign. To figure out the sign that goes inside, you have to look at your first sign and your second sign in the original equation. So let's say that your first sign was a positive. That means that the first number, or the first bracket, or answer, whatever it may be, in this case it's 3, is going to be positive. If this value was a negative, then that means your first answer, bracket, whatever it is going to have the negative sign. If your second sign is a positive, it means both brackets or both answers will be the same. If it was a negative, it means that they will be opposite signs. So let's go ahead and do an example. Let's say that this was positive and this was positive. Let's look at our rules. If our first sign is positive, it means that the first bracket is positive. If our second sign is positive, it means both of the brackets are the same. So since this one was positive, it means this one also will be positive. Let's say this was positive and this was negative. So our rules say that if the first sign is positive, then the first bracket is positive. But if the second sign is negative, it means that they have to be different signs. So this one is positive and this one has to be negative because they have to be different signs. Let's say this was negative and this was positive. So our rules say if the first sign is negative, then the first answer will be negative. And if the second sign is positive, then they both have to be the same. So that means that this answer has to be the same as this one. So they're both negative. Okay, now that we know the rules on how the signs work, let's go ahead and do an example. Okay, to figure out our factors, we have to find two numbers that multiply to our third term, but those same two numbers have to add to our second term. So let's just try some numbers out here. Let's see. 2 times 1 gives us 2. So that works. It multiplies to our third term. But do those two numbers add up to our second term? 2 plus 1 equals 3. It does. It adds up to our second term. So that's also right. That means our two factors are 2 and 1. So we'll get our brackets. And like we said, the largest number goes in the first bracket. So our largest number here is 2. And then the other number goes in the second, which is 1. Now let's look at the signs. Our second sign is positive. That means both the signs are going to be the same. Our first sign is also positive. That means our first one is going to be positive, but because the second one is also positive, it means they're going to be the same. So both are positive. And this is our answer. Okay, here is our second example. So we need two numbers that multiply to 30 and two numbers that add up to 13. Let's draw our brackets. And let's go ahead and put our signs in first. So the first sign indicates that the first bracket will have a positive, and the second sign is a negative, so it means that our brackets have to have opposite signs. So this one will be negative. And we'll go ahead and put the variables in. And now let's go ahead and find our numbers. So let's try 30 times 1. So that works. It gives us 30. 30 plus 1 equals 31. That does not give us 13. Okay, so those two numbers can't work. Now, let's try 15 times 2. That works. That gives us 30. Let's go ahead and follow our rules. So if 15 is the bigger number, that means 15 has to go in this bracket, which means 15. Sorry, the wind is very loud. Which means 15 is positive. And then 2 is a smaller number. So 2 will go in this bracket, which means 2 has to be negative. So 15 minus 2, that would equal 13. That gives us what we want. So up here it says add, but really we're subtracting because they're opposite signs, it's a negative. But also if we did add them, it would just be like this. So you would get 13 either way. So our two factors are 15 and negative 2. So x plus 15 and x minus 2. So to state your answers, you would state them like this. However, be careful because the sign in the bracket is opposite to the sign of the answer. So in the bracket it's positive 15, but your answer is actually negative 15. Then the sign here in the bracket is negative, but your answer is actually positive 2. Thanks for watching this video, you guys, and like I said, in the next video I will show you guys how to factor trinomials when your a value is greater than 1. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. If you have any concepts that you want me to go over, please leave them down below and I will make a video on them. Thank you, have a great day. Bye guys.